I can't pretend like I'm some robot that's always neutral. I need to share my opinion, and sometimes aggressively so. I always wanted to be part of the media. I knew I wanted to work as a journalist somewhere. I always imagined myself doing what Barbara Walters did on ABC's 2020. That was what essentially inspired me to go to journalism school. When I graduated, I was really lucky because I got hired immediately by CBS as a production assistant. And it was not the environment for me. It was actually the exact opposite of what I expected. And then I was approached by a colleague of mine at CBS who asked if I would be willing to work at a startup called TYT. Once I kind of figured out what the name of the show meant and what the show was about, I was intrigued, and I decided to go in and was pretty shocked when I figured out that I loved it. I was supposed to leave after 2 weeks, but I kind of refused to do so, and I asked if I could get hired doing anything. And originally I got hired to do marketing, and then I just kind of like weaseled my way into doing on-air stuff, and luckily it's worked out. Okay, so how are we gonna break it up?
The infighting, I think, would just be one clip.
I agree.
He said it was a good day for America specifically because Bannon lost.
What we can do is, the first part could be, all right, here were the election results. I would want to break it up based on demographics. The Young Turks is a political news show that talks about issues from a progressive perspective. We don't pretend like we're completely neutral, but we're also pretty unbiased. We will criticize both sides, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, if we feel that they're not keeping their promises or representing progressive values. The Young Turks is a strange name, but it essentially means rebels, people who rebel against societal expectations. We're very different from what you see in traditional media. We're not afraid to speak our minds and be pretty aggressive in sharing our opinions and our thoughts, and that's what I love about it.
All right, 3, 2, 1, music.
So that's my media side of things. I also teach journalism at Cal State Northridge. I would say that I'm a passionate teacher. I'm sometimes a profane teacher. And my strategy is to really implement current events into the curriculum, because oftentimes there's a lot of discussion about theory and strategies and methods, but I want the students to understand the importance of the news that's happening right now. I also encourage the students to engage and challenge me. And so I think working at TYT and engaging with an audience that oftentimes can be critical has really prepared me to engage with these students. I love that they feel comfortable challenging me. I love that we engage in these conversations and have these debates about how to ethically cover these political issues. Several years ago, David Letterman talked about how he felt like he was a failure, which really struck a nerve with me, because here's this man who had this very popular and successful late night show, and he felt like a failure. I realized that I'm the same way, in that I'm never gonna be satisfied. And there's obviously a huge downside to that, because I beat up on myself and I'm critical of myself. But I think the upside of that is that you're always striving for more. You always want to accomplish more. I want to really improve society for the better. I want criminal justice reform. I want free college in the United States. I want affordable housing. I mean, that's a huge issue right now. I want to have an impact on those issues. And part one is educating people about what's really going on. At the end of the day, the most important thing is whether or not you're doing your job responsibly, ethically, and effectively.